much for being here. I love you guys, and I thank you for spending time with me each and every week. Today, I'm going to share with you 8 of my easy, under 10-minute holiday gnomes. If you want to jumpstart on the holiday, stick around. I'll show you how. Okay guys, for this video, we're going to use some decor, some string, some jute rope, a sock. I got these at Target. We're going to use a faux fur, a 6-inch cone, some little stuffing, and a little nose. Okay, let's get started. Okay, first thing we're going to do is we're going to cut out our beard, and we are going to cut it at 3 inches by 2 inches. And I'm just going to take my little marker and go around in a U shape. And that's what we're going to cut out. I did get a little bit off-centered, so I will straighten it out as I'm cutting it out right here. Just cut behind the faux fur only, and then go ahead and clean off the excess fur and put that aside. Then we're going to take our sock. We're going to just stick our cone down into the heel area, all the way down to the toe, and we're going to stretch it and pull it as tight as you can and put a rubber band around it to hold it up. And then go ahead and take that rubber band, put it around there several times so it's really holds it in there tight. And then we're going to tie it off with a string. Just make sure that if you're using a stripe like that, you keep your line straight up and down. So we're just going to tie that off at the top part of the, just above the tip of the cone. And then we're going to come back in and we're going to tie one just below that onto the cone so that we can make sure that our sock does not twist. Just tie that real tight so that sock will not twist. And then clip that off, and then we're going to go ahead and cut off the sock just right above the, probably about a 1/2 inch above the cone tip. And then we're just going to take some glue, open that up, put some glue inside of that, just to kind of make sure that that's sealed up, and then hold that tight till it dries. All right, we're going to put that aside, and we're going to go ahead and build his hat. We're going to take it, and we're just going to cut it off 2 inches below the tip of that heel. So right where the middle of that heel is, 2 inches off. Then we're going to turn it right inside out. And we're going to tie it off with a string. And I'm tying it off probably about almost 1 inch below the top. And just clip that off. Then we're going to turn it right side out, and we're going to add some stuffing in it, just a little bit, so we can make a little ball at the top. And then we're going to take our rubber bands and tie those off, and then we're going to come back in and we're going to put some jute in it in a little bit. Okay, now we're going to take our beard. We're going to come down 3 inches from the point of the cone and do a little marking, and that's where we're going to put our beard. And if you have a stripe or something like that, make sure that you kind of get it centered on a nice part that looks good. Just get it lined up good. And then we're going to go ahead and put our hat on. Just going to take our hat, we're going to pull it down, put a little bit of glue on the top, glue the inside tip to that, and then pull it on down. And we're going to pull it down pretty far in the back, farther in the back than in the front. So when you pull it on down, you're going to have the back longer than the front. Okay, so just get it on there really good, make sure everything's straight, and then we're going to go ahead and tie a jute string around the top part of the ball. But you're not going to tie it off yet because we want to wait till we make sure that we get everything straight before we tie our bow. But pull that on down with your fingers, pull it pretty tight, and hold it while we glue up underneath there. Because we want the back to come down farther than the front. So hold it down there really good until it dries really good. And then we're going to come in and we're going to put some into the sides, some glue on the sides, and glue those on down as well. Don't glue the front yet though, because we still have to put the nose on. Now we're going to take our nose, we're going to put it right in the center, pull our hat on back, and glue that in. And then we're going to take some glue and put it on the very top part of the nose and pull the hat on down to where it glues it to the top of the nose. And then we're going to come back in and we're going to put a little bit of glue underneath where the beard is and the hat meets, just to make sure everything is sealed in there well. Okay, now that we get it straight, we just make sure we just tie our little bow right on the front. And then we're going to add a little embellishment to it. Just put a little dollop of glue right up underneath that jute just to make sure it stays in. Then we're just going to attach our embellishment. Pretty easy. And I got those at Hobby Lobby. They come in a box. Hey guys, for this gnome, we're going to use a scented pine cone. You can get these at Michael's. They're cinnamon scented, or if you want to stay around to the end of the video, I'm going to show you exactly how to scent your own. Okay, let's get started. What we're going to need is a scented pine cone, some stretchy fabric, some quilt batting, a pom-pom, a bead for the nose, some pipe cleaner, some faux fur, an embellishment for the hat, some plush fleece, and some jute to hang it. Okay, first of all, I'm going to show you how to measure your pine cone so that you get your hat the right size. I'm going to take my tape measure and go right through the center of it and loosely wrap it around there, and it comes to 10.5 inches. So I'm going to add an inch and cut my fabric at 11.5 inches. Then on the length, we're going to double it. My pine cone is 5 inches, so I'm going to cut my fabric at 10 inches. So I'm going to cut my fabric at 10 by 11.5. Then I'm going to lay my pine cone on there. I'm going to cut from the halfway point of the pine cone up to the tip, and that's going to be our hat. Then I'm going to turn it right sides together and glue it all the way up, starting at the bottom, and then glue all the way up to the tip. Okay, then while that dries, we're going to cut our faux fur. We're going to cut it at 3 inches by 2.5 inches. And I'm just going to draw a U around the shape there so I can get it straight. Then we're going to come behind the faux fur only, cutting behind the faux fur all the way around in that U shape. And then take your comb and comb out the excess fur. Then I'm going to take my pliers and I'm going to pull my hat right side out. And then I'm going to put my pliers up in there and just go ahead and push that point on through. Okay, we're going to set that aside, and we're going to take our 3 pipe cleaners, and we're going to attach them at 2 inches from the bottom, and we're going to attach those to our pine cone. So we're just going to wrap those around the pine cone in 3 different locations, and then we're going to come back in and we're going to hot glue them down. And then we're going to take it and lay it next to our hat and find our middle point. And from there, we are going to take the top part of our pipe cleaner and bend it down 1/2 inch from the tip, twist them, and then we're going to glue those flat. And that way you have a nice blunt tip at the top and you won't poke a hole in your fabric. Okay, then we're going to come down 2 inches from the top of the pine cone, and we're going to attach our beard. Now, if your pine cone is not 5 inches and it's smaller, you might want to come down just a little bit less. Just kind of, you know, try your hat on and put your beard where you think you want to have it, but on a 5 inch, 2 inches down from the top is perfect. Then we're going to go ahead and flip that back on the front after we get it straight and just glue it straight down to the pine cone. Then we're going to separate at the top edge. So come back onto each side so we can get to the backing on the fur, and we're going to attach our pom-pom right there at the tip. Just attach a bunch of glue there and then attach your pom-pom. Then we're going to take some quilt batting, and this is 3 1/4 by 7 inches. We're just going to fold it straight over on the 7-inch side, and we're going to attach it just above the beard, just to give it a little bit more fullness in the hat when we get the hat put on. And then just kind of diagonal it back, and then our hat will cover that up. So just don't diagonal it way back, but just kind of lightly diagonal back. Okay, then we're going to go ahead and attach our hat, pull it on down, and we're going to pull it all the way down in the back, covering up all of that quilt batting. Just make sure it's all covered up real good. And then we're going to start gluing it in. So just turn it over on the back, starting at the back, and glue that down. Now that the pine cones adhere to the hot glue real well, so you don't have to put too much hot glue. Just get both sides. And then we're going to attach the tip of the hat to the nose, and we're going to bend it back a little bit and attach the hat to the batting, the quilt batting. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and take our plush fleece, and this is a 2" by 12 inches. So add an extra inch to whatever size you do your pattern for the trim. And we're going to go ahead and fold it where the middles meet. Do not overlap it. Just get them glued in there real good, and then glue down that one side. So fold it over a 1/2 inch, and that's going to help finish out our, trim it out nice on the back. Then find your center point. Go ahead and put some glue down the center and attach it. Just make sure that you are covering up the edge. Now stretch it as you go. You want to make sure you stretch it, and that's what's going to make it nice and flush, and it'll hold all that together real good. Then you won't see any of that fabric from the hat underneath it. But just go ahead and pull it, and then go ahead and make sure that the part that you folded over is on top when you get finished. Turn it over. We're going to go ahead and attach a little embellishment. I got these at Michael's. It's just a little wreath. We're just attaching it right there to his hat. Then take his hat, fold it over, bend it over, add a dollop of glue to the tip, and we're going to put a pom-pom on there. Then we're going to find one of the pipe cleaners, push it to the middle of the hat, and we're going to tie a 12-inch piece of jute into a knot to make a loop, and then pull it on in there, find the loop, and then we are going to sew that to the pipe cleaner. So just go under that pipe cleaner and over that jute. Probably about 4 stitches will hold it. And then just tie that off. And there you have it, a cute little pinecone scented gnome. But make sure you make a lot of them, because all your friends will want one. And if you want to stick around to see how I scented the pinecones, I'll show you that here in just a second. Okay, cover your cookie sheet with aluminum foil. Clean all the debris off of them. Then we're going to bake them in the oven at 200 degrees for 30 minutes just to get the bugs off. And then we are going to put them in a Ziploc bag. And then I'm going to use a cinnamon essential oil, and I'm going to put 25 drops in the bag. I got that on Amazon. And then you are just going to seal that bag up and then just kind of lightly shake it and keep them in there for about 2 days, kind of, rotating them around and shaking the bag around, and then they'll be ready to go. Pretty easy. Scented pine cones, and they smell amazing.
Sunny day, but it's cold outside. It tingles in my heart. Breathing air that clears my mind.
Okay guys, for this gnome it's pretty easy, not a lot of supplies. We're going to stain our skis. We're going to use the little peg people as the base. Okay, let's get started. We're going to take a black Sculpey clay. We're going to roll it up into 2 pea-sized little balls, and that's going to be for his feet. And then we are going to take our little peg guy, and we are going to mash these feet down so that they're flush, they're level. Then go ahead and take them and kind of squeeze them in a little bit to make them a little bit more narrow so they'll fit right underneath his body. Okay, then bake them at 250 degrees for 15 minutes. All right, there, and we're going to go ahead and cut out his beard. We're going to cut it at 1 inch long by 3/4 of an inch wide. And then just take your scissors and cut behind the faux fur only. I know y'all have heard me say it before, but just cut behind the faux fur only, get it cut out, and then go ahead and clean it off. Okay, we're going to put it aside. We're going to build the body. We're going to hem up the bottom hem on this. And then we're going to hem up one side as well. And the peg I use is called the dad peg person. Okay, then we're going to go ahead and glue it down on the side, and we're going to roll that up. Okay, after you get it all rolled up, we're going to go ahead and put a little bit of glue in the very top part, just to adhere it to his head. Squeeze it in there, and then we're going to go ahead and attach his beard. And we're going to attach his beard over the seam so that it'll hide it. Then we're going to go ahead and glue it down a little bit, down to the body. Okay, now we're going to take, this is going to be his arms. We're just going to fold this up into the middle, where the 2 middles meet. So fold it halfway up and then turn the other one and fold it the other halfway up so it meets in the middle. So you're going to have about a 1/2 inch after you're done. And then we're going to take that and we're going to fold it in half, find the center point, glue down the back, and wrap that around, and we're just going to glue it to where the fabric is only, just up to the beard. Okay, then to create his arms, we're just going to fold it in, and we are going to add a little bit of glue. And this will cover up any of the seams that are opened. Okay, then we're going to take his hat, and we're just going to put a little bit of glue on top of his head, attach that hat, and fold it down. And we're going to pull it down in the back over his arms so it doesn't look like his arms are wrapped around his back. And then we're just going to glue that in. Okay, then we're going to put his feet on. We'll just put a little bit of glue on the bottom. Make sure his feet are facing forward. And then we're going to go ahead and attach his nose. Just lift his hat back a little bit. And then we're going to put a little bit of glue on the top part of his nose and pull that on down. Right now we're going to go ahead and build his goggles, and I've included the pattern below. I've also included an SVG file if you want to be able to cut it out with a Cricut. We're just measuring around from the side, from under his arm, around the front to the other underside of his arm, and then cut that in half. Then we're going to take our goggles and we're just going to put a strap on both sides. And then we are going to glue them to his hat. And this is the pattern. Okay, so just take a little bit of glue and attach it to the white part. And then just glue that down to his hat. And I'm just using a 1/4 inch strip of craft foam on that. And I'm using black craft foam for his goggles. Just add a little bit of glue right there. Come down the side a little bit. And then we're going to go tuck it up underneath his arm. So it looks like it's underneath his hat. Just curve that around and go underneath his arm. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and build his ski poles. And we are just going to take a cutter and cut the very tip off of them. And then we're going to paint them a 1/2 inch from the top. We're going to paint them black with a black Sharpie. And that's going to be his little handles for his ski poles. And then we're going to take a regular hole puncher, and we're just going to cut 2 black circles out of craft foam, and that's what's going to be for the opposite end of his poles. Just take your toothpick and just poke it in there and push it up probably about 1/4 inch. Okay, then we're going to take a little bit of glue and just attach a little bit of glue to the bottom just to make sure that they stay on. You don't have to put a lot, just a little dab of glue on there. Okay, next we're going to take his skis and we're going to stain them, and then you need to let those dry really good. And then we're going to go ahead and attach his poles to his arms, to his hands, and I'm just going to glue it in there and let it dry for a second, and then I'm going to wrap that that arm around his ski poles. Look like he has little hands on there, little mittens. And you could have left that opening when you folded that in half. You could have left just a little slit in there if you just wanted to drop those in there. But I just thought it looked a little bit better having his hands wrapped around them. Okay, now just wrap that around there and then glue that down. And you're going to have to hold this for a minute because it is going to be kind of a short little piece, but hold it around there and it'll dry fast. And then we're going to do the same thing for the opposite side. Just roll that hand around there. Okay, now all we lack is just putting his shoes onto his skis. Just make sure your skis are straight.
You might think the weather's kinda cold, but you know you've got a hand to hold. Come on.
Okay guys, this is a real quick last minute gift. We're going to use a Tootsie Roll container from the Dollar Tree. They're $1.25, some faux fur, some fleece, some trim, some glitter foam, a pom-pom, and a nose. Okay, first thing we're going to do is we're going to cut out our beard, and we are going to cut it at 2.5 inches wide by 1 3/4 inches in length. And then we are just going to take our scissors and we are going to do a U shape around there down to that point and back up the other side to the other point, and then we're going to clean all the excess fur off of this. Just comb it out. Next, we're going to take a 9 by 4 3/4 inch piece of fleece, and we are just going to glue this to the container. Now, be sure and take the plastic off the top of the container before you do this. Otherwise, they will not be able to open up their container. Just glue it all the way around and seal it in. Okay, next we're going to take some fur, and this is Fur the Love yarn by Yarn Bee. It's 11-inch strip, and we're just going to glue it all the way around the bottom of the container, just to kind of dress out this, kind of like his shirt. Well, he doesn't have any legs, so this is just the top part of his body. And then just glue that across, and then just glue the excess over the top. Next, we're going to take a piece of glitter foam, and that's a 1/2 inch by 8 1/2 inch. And we're just going to come right around the center and glue it in. Just make sure your seam is in the back. Okay, then we're going to take a 1 inch by 1 inch glitter square, and we're just going to attach it right on the belt. This is his buckle. Okay, next we're going to cut a piece of 10 inch by 11 inch piece of fabric. The 10 inch opening is going to be the part that goes over the can, and the 11 inch is the long one. So with the folded over edge, we're going to start at the side that's not folded, and we are going to just go up to that point to make that hat. And then we're just going to glue that down. Make sure you add enough glue, not too much glue, but enough glue to keep it together so that when you turn it right side out, it does not come open. Okay, next we're going to just go ahead and turn it right side out, and I'm using some pliers because it's easier that way. Just pull it on out, and then we're going to put that plier up inside of there and just push that tip all the way out. Just don't push too hard because you don't want to make a hole. Then we're going to come back with another 11-inch piece of strip of that same fur, and we're going to trim this hat out. Try not to glue your hat together. And then just trim that out, fold those over, and overlap it. Okay, next we're going to attach our beard, and we're just going to put some glue along the top edge, and we are going to glue that to the front inside of that hat. So when you put it up underneath there, don't just push it down and shut it. You need to make sure you hold it behind it too, just to make sure it doesn't glue that hat shut. Just hold it till it dries good. Then we're going to attach our bead right in the middle. Just lift the fur up a little bit, put it underneath there, and then we're going to put a little dollop of glue on top and attach that fur to that nose. Then go ahead and attach it to your container. Just pull it on down, pull the back down a little bit more just until it stands up straight. Make sure your seam's in the back. And then we're going to glue the side to the red part of the hat. And then we're just going to attach a pom-pom. All right, that was pretty easy. A good last minute gift, pretty inexpensive. You could make a lot of them. They make great teacher gifts, they make great friends gifts, and they make great party favors. But make sure you make plenty of them because everybody will want one. Okay guys, here's a real super easy one. We're just going to take 1 sock and 3 pom-poms and a couple of beads, and we are going to make 3 ornaments out of 1 sock. Okay, first of all, we're going to take our pom-pom, and we are going to take the blow dryer and just really fluff it up. It won't take long, but you want to be sure and fluff it up because when it comes out of the bag, there it's a little smashed. Okay, take our pattern. It's in the description below, and we are going to cut out 3 different hats. And we are cutting on the fold, and we're going to cut this second one down a little bit below the hat, about a 1/2 inch, so we have a hem, because the first one we cut out had a hem already on it because it was the edge of the sock. Okay, so go ahead and cut that one out, and then we're going to do the same thing on the third one. Put it on the fold, and then go ahead and cut that out a 1/2 inch below the pattern, and then cut the top part of it just like the regular pattern. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and turn them inside out. And this one is the one that already had the trim on it, so I didn't cut off all the way to the bottom. So we are just going to hem up one side. Just put glue in it down the side and get that hemmed up really, really well. Okay, and then on the other two, we are going to do a little hem about a 1/2 inch up on both of them. And that'll give us a nice finish edge on his hat. And then the same thing with the second one. And then we are going to turn these right sides facing each other, and we are going to glue down one side on both of them. So you can get 6 ornaments out of a pair of socks. Okay, just go ahead and fold that over. And I got these socks at Target. They were $3 a pair. And I'll give you the link in the description below as well. Okay, then we're going to go ahead and let those dry, and then we're going to turn them right side out. I'm just taking my pliers and sticking them inside there and turning all of those facing side out. Okay, we're going to take our pom-poms. We're going to take our wire, run it through it, fold it up over the edge to hold it onto that little loop. And then we are going to crimp it with our pliers. And then we're going to run that up into our hat and right out to through the top. I'm just going to go ahead and pull that on down over the top of that pom-pom. And that pom-pom has a pretty heavy core on it. You can feel it. And we're going to pull it down around there, and we are going to pin that to that core, and we are going to hand stitch around this cap. And you don't have to do a lot of stitches. We're just going to kind of baste it on there. But we just want to make sure that we are adding, stitching it instead of gluing it, because it'll look so much better. We're going to find the middle. Take that middle bead out, separate, because you do not want to sew where you're going to put your bead in the middle. So make sure you skip that section. I'm just going to take some needle and thread, and I'm going to just ever so lightly just go through the core and the hat, starting come up from the bottom in the back, so you have a little tail to tie off with. And then go ahead and stitch into that core. If you don't stitch into the core and you glue it directly to the hat, as soon as you hang it up on your tree, that hat will lift that hair, and it won't look right anymore. So you just want to make sure that you do go through that core and sew it. But leave that opening in the middle. Don't stitch through the middle, because we're going to need to lift that up to put our bead in there. Okay, once you get that sewed all the way around, then you're going to come down and you're going to run out the bottom part, and then we're going to tie those 2 strings together. Clip that off, and then go ahead and take all your pins out. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and add some jute to the top of it to tie it off, and we're going to go ahead and add our bead. Now, I'm using these little flat beads. It's not a round bead. It has a flat side to it, and I will give you that in the description as well. Just pull that hat back, glue that down, and then we're going to put a little bit of dollop of glue on the top part of the hat and glue that to the nose. Okay, then we're going to go ahead and take our jute, and we're going to pull that on up. We're going to make a loop first, so we know how high to put our jute. Clip that off. And then we are going to pull that together, and then we are going to put glue down in the center and pull that hat all the way up to the top of that loop and glue that down. So make sure that that hat is pulled tight. And then we're going to come back, and we're just going to tie a jute ribbon around the top part of it. And then we're going to put a little bit of glue underneath there to hold that on. And then do the same thing for the other 2. And then we're going to come back, and we're going to put a little bit of glue all the way around on each of these, just to make sure that it's held in there really well. Just a little bit to just reinforce it. All right, there you have it. 3 little gnome or pom-pom ornaments made out of 1 sock. what you're going to need is a sock, a pom-pom. You're going to need some furry yarn. I'm using Yarn Bee for the love. You're going to need some faux fur for the beard, a 4-inch circle for the base, and a styrofoam cone. Okay, first thing what we're going to do is we're going to take our sock and we're going to cut it off just above the heel. And then we are going to slide that over the styrofoam cone all the way down and then tuck it up underneath the bottom. And you can use any sock you want to. We're not adding weighted beads, so you don't have to worry about your sock being a little bit thinner. It won't hurt. Okay, then we're going to add a base to it just to cover it all up. And we're going to take the glue our sock to our base first, and then we're going to glue our 4-inch circle over the top of that sock. Okay, once you get that glued on there, just make sure it's glued on all the way around real well. And then we're going to attach our sock to our styrofoam cone. And I didn't tell you a minute ago in the materials that you need, you are going to need a ribbon as well, because we are going to come back in and seal this sock off to the styrofoam cone just to make sure that none of those frayed edges come out from behind our hat. Okay, just get that glued on real well, and then we are going to take a ribbon and we are going to just seal all that off. Just make sure that when you get that glued down, you get it glued down flush, because we don't want any puckers in our hat when we get our hat put on there. Just trim that off and then make sure it's completely flat to that styrofoam cone. Okay, while that dries, we're going to go ahead and make our beard. We're going to take our faux fur and we're going to cut our beard at 3 inches wide by 2.5 inches in length. And that's what my faux fur actually happened to be, so I didn't have to trim any on the bottom. We're going to cut behind the faux fur only, all the way around in a U shape, behind the fur only, and then clean that off. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and attach our beard. I'm just coming down about an 1.5 inches from the top part edge of that ribbon and attaching my beard. And then just glue that beard to the body. Okay, now we're going to start with our hat. We're going to take our furry yarn and we are just going to start wrapping that around. Get the top glued in well first of all though. And then we're going to turn it about 3 to 4 times, or the top part I did a little bit more, push it up, glue up underneath it, and then continue around each 4 to 5 turns, push it up and glue it in. We want our hat to be really, really thick. And that's how you're going to do that. Just wrapping it, pushing up, and getting it glued down. And go all the way down till you get to the top part edge of that beard. Just keep going all the way around till you get to the beard. But just make sure you do spot glue that in as you're going. Once you get to the beard, we're going to go around and we're going to attach our bead. But don't skimp on the gluing. You want to make sure you glue it in good. Okay, we're going to stop and we're going to attach our bead right here. And then we're going to start building the cuff of our hat. So we are going to use this same yarn, keep going, and we're going to start overlapping and going back up. And then going back down until you get your cuff as thick as you want it. And then start squeezing that cuff together as we're going and dry in some spots. And glue in some spots. I'm going to cut mine off right here, and then I'm going to tuck it in. And then just glue it in. Now go ahead and start squeezing your cuff and get it glued in good so that you do have a good separation on the cuff. Just kind of squeeze it up there, get it how you want it to look, and then start gluing it in. Okay, then I'm going to come back and I'm just going to add a pom-pom to the top part of it. And then I came back in with an embellishment. I got these little wreaths at Michael's. I'm just going to glue that to the front. And then I'm going to come back and I'm going to add a trim of that same fur around the bottom part edge of the gnome. And I got this trim at Hobby Lobby. And if you watch, they'll have sales on their yarn. You can get it at a really good price.
You might think the weather's kinda cold, but you know you've got a hand to hold. Come along out and play. What a wonderful day.
For this one, we're going to use some faux fur, some stuffing, a piece of felt, a sock. I got it at Target. We're going to use a bead for the nose, a couple pieces of felt for his feet, a string, and then a little container. I got these at the Dollar Tree. We're going to go ahead and cut our beard. We're going to cut it at 5 inches wide by 3.5 inches in length, and just cut the backing on the faux fur only. Go all the way around, and then clean off the excess fur off with a brush. Okay, next we're going to take it and we're going to fold it in half, find our center point. Then we're going to come down 1/2 inch from the top, and that's where we're going to put our bead. And I'm using like a 3/4 inch felt bead. You can use a wooden bead or whatever you want to use. Okay, next we're going to take our piece of 6 3/8 inch fabric by 11 inch, and we are just going to roll it all the way around our container and glue it on. So we're going to take 2 pieces of 2 inch by 1.5 inch felt, and we're just going to come down the 2 inch side and do a U and come back the other side, and we're going to make shoes out of this. We're just going to set them on there, figure out exactly where we want them, and then we're just going to glue the outside edge of our container on both sides. And then go ahead and glue those down. Then we're going to go ahead and put some glue on the back side to hold them in. Okay, next we're going to go ahead and attach our beard. Now we're just going to take some clips and clip it on each side of the beard, not on the beard, just so we can get our marking. And then go ahead and remove your beard, and then we're going to glue from that one clip to the other clip, and that's where we're going to attach our beard. And then go ahead and lift the beard up, and we're going to go ahead and glue the beard on down to the container. Next, we're going to take our sock, and on both sides, there's a little thread holding it onto the sock. You just want to be careful not to cut your sock. Just clip that thread on both sides. We're going to take our lid, and we're going to take a pretty good size wad of polyfill, and we're going to glue it to the top of the lid just to give him a little bit of height on his head. Then we're going to take our sock. We're just going to cut it just below the heel. So we're cutting the toe area off. We're going to turn it inside out. And then we're just going to tie the end of it off. So kind of gather it up there and just tie that off. Then we're going to turn it right side out, and we're just going to attach a little pom-pom to the top of it. Next, go ahead and put the hat over the top of the cap, and then kind of fluff up the stuffing a little bit. And then we're going to pull just the fur part back on that sock till you get to just the sock area, because we're going to glue the sock part to the cap. So go ahead and pull it all the way back so you feel the sock, and then just glue the sock all the way around that ledge. Okay, once you get that glued in, go ahead and put it back on top of the container, and then go ahead and pull the cuff on down. Kind of open up the stuffing a little bit to kind of make it full. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to glue that cuff to that sock. So just kind of open that up and just glue that all the way around. Okay, that was pretty easy.
It's the time of year, winter wonderland. My winter wonderland. It's the time of year, my winter wonderland. My winter wonderland. I wanna sing about...
Okay, you need some faux fur, a nose. You're going to need a 5.5 inch pipe cleaner. You're going to need a 16 inch piece of jute. You need some fabric. You need the pattern. It's going to be in the description below. And that's a 1 inch gauge. So when you print your pattern, make sure it prints out at that little square is 1 inch. Okay, we're going to go ahead and take our hat that we cut out, and we're going to go ahead and glue down one side. And put that aside. We're going to go ahead and start cutting our faux fur. We're just going to go ahead and draw around the pattern. And then we're just going to cut the faux fur only through the back only. And we're going to cut 2 of these. So go ahead and clean all the faux fur off of there, the excess faux fur, and then we're going to cut up another one. And we're doing this so that we can put these back to back so that if your ornament spins on your tree, then you will see the beard on both sides. It won't just be the backing of the beard. Take our hat and we're going to cuff it up 1.5 inches. And then we're going to go ahead and glue that down. And we're doing this so that we can put a cuff on the front part. Okay, next we're going to go ahead and take our 2 beards and we're going to glue our pipe cleaner down in the middle of one of them. And then we'll glue our other one. We're just going to glue the lower part of these together first, and then we'll fix the top part in a little bit because we want to make sure that we get them joined good together on the bottom, and then go ahead and get the top sealed in to where they're even. Okay, next we're going to take our hat and we're going to turn it right side out. And I'm just using some pliers to do this because it makes it a little bit easier to turn it right side out. And then I've got some fur on it, so I'm going to go ahead and take a roller and just roll the lint off of it. And then I'm going to go ahead and cuff it up about 3/4 inch, I would say, and then go ahead and glue that in. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and put our pipe cleaner with our beard inside of our hat. Just pull it on in there. If you need to bend it at all, go ahead and bend it, but just go ahead and get that tucked in there real good. And then I'm going to go ahead and glue the back part. And then I'm going to glue the front part, but leave a little bit of space between the edge and the front part. You just want to go in the back part of it because we're going to go ahead and put our nose in here in just a second. Go ahead and put your nose in and then go ahead and hold that and seal it tight. Okay, we're going to go ahead and bend that over at the top. And then I'm just going to tie a piece of jute around the top. And this is what we can, you're going to tie it around and tie it in a knot. And then we're going to tie it in a knot so we have a hanger for our tree. Just go towards the end of it and just tie it in a single knot. And then clip that off, and that's pretty easy. I hope you enjoyed this inspiration for these holiday gnomes. If you liked the video, hit like. If you want to see future videos, hit subscribe. And if you want to be notified when I have another video, hit the bell. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it.